Alright, so this is going to be a Bitcoin update video. I want to take a look at what has happened since my last video, and we'll take a look at how things are looking right now as we head into the beginning of the trading week, which starts tomorrow. Today was an American holiday, so New York was not open, the stock exchange, and a lot of people are considering tomorrow the start of the trading week. We may see, volatility pick up starting tomorrow, so I want to go over my general plans right now. So what has happened since my last video? Well, in my last video, I was looking at the bearish signs that we saw as we got to move up to the golden pocket as we wicked above the last higher high. We saw bearish divergences, and I was saying that that could lead to a move to the downside. And we did get a significant move to the downside. We actually broke what I would probably call 4-hour structure. And following that, we've pretty much just been ranging down here. I do kind of want to correct myself a little bit. I don't love the way that I worded this in my last video. Basically, I was saying that I would start to get really bearish if we lost this low. And that is true. I am feeling a bit more bearish as of right now just because, well, we have broken 4-hour structure and we have not continued it. We've just gotten one move down and we have not touched this low. So right now, any move to the upside could just simply be for a lower high. Now, the wording I used in my video was I would start to get macro bearish once we broke this. I should have said, a little bit more macro bearish rather than, just saying that if we lost this low, I would start to feel really bearish. And yeah, we're immediately from there getting a dump down to basically break higher time frame structure and then start, sweeping all this liquidity. That's not really what I meant. I really just meant that this was like the first sign of bearishness. And well, it definitely is a bearish development, but something we have to realize is we saw something similar over here where we did get a 4-hour bearish break. We put in this higher low, confirmed when we came up to touch the higher high, and then we broke that bearishly. And following that, I mean, we ranged for a while, but we eventually ended up voiding that by putting in this higher high over here, and we basically just continued with an uptrend from there. So could we see something similar here where, we get the 4-hour bearish break, people start to feel bearish, maybe we get a move up into this area, people start shorting this zone, and then eventually we just go on to put in a higher high. Sure, that is possible. We are still technically in a uptrend on the daily and on the weekly time frame, so, the higher time frames are still bullish, you could say. But the reason I think it may be a little different this time is because we actually hit a very significant level. I don't remember if this happened at a significant level. I don't really feel like going back and, charting old TA to try and find that out, but we do know that this was the golden pocket. We got a bearish div with an SFP into the macro golden pocket from all-time high to bear market low. And from there, we got a 4-hour bearish break. So potentially a little more bearish here. Also, just in general, I think we saw some more aggressive selling wicks in this area as opposed to over here. We didn't really see, that aggressive of selling until we actually got the breakdown. So really, for me to get like, really macro bearish and for me to be pretty confident that we are actually starting this macro retracement back to some, key supports that we have below us, I would say we have to lose the daily higher low, which would probably be coming in here. If not, then you could say this wick, but they're basically at the same spot, so it doesn't really matter. If we just barely get a close below here anyway, like if it ends up closing just below the line, that's not really convincing for me anyway. I'd want to see like a clear break regardless, so it doesn't matter if you mark out this low or this low. Basically, if we start to close, significantly below this area, then I probably would at that point start to get, bearish in the sense that I think the weekly time frame, which would still be in an uptrend at that point, has to come down for a higher low somewhere. So in terms of like, macro developments, I think the most important thing is this low and seeing if we're actually going to lose that or not. Because if not, then, there is a chance that we just kind of void this 4-hour bearish div and put in a daily higher low. So now let's talk a little bit more local. Like I said, I am potentially looking for a lower high, and I am potentially looking to short that if we see confirmations. And an area I have my eye on right now is, this zone between the golden pocket and the 0.5 fib. I like the fact that the 0.5 lines up with the value area low, the golden pocket lines up with the point of control. So that is a zone that I have my eyes on. There is also, a bit of inefficiency leading up to that area. So I think basically this zone makes the most sense to reject from. And I wouldn't really want to see price get above this point of control anyway. At that point, I'd feel less confident in a lower high being put in. There's a higher chance at that point that we actually come up to take out the high, whether we SFP it or actually, continue higher. But potentially we can see a quick wick above here, or maybe even like trap some traders above the point of control and then fall back down below it. But I would say for the most confidence in a lower high being put in, I'd want to see some clear confirmations somewhere in this zone. And the reason that I am looking for a lower high right now is because we have not continued market structure following this bearish break. Like I said, on the higher time frames, on the pretty much 4 hour to probably 30 minute, we basically went from this higher high straight down to this lower low. We have not seen a lower high being put in and then price coming down to touch that low, confirming this is a lower high. We have not seen that yet. We have not come back down to touch this low. And I think if we do come down to touch this low and then we see move up towards this area, I would feel less confident in a lower high being put in, because at that point we just pretty much broke that structure, that 4 hour structure that we just flipped bearish. We at that point have now flipped that bullish again, because we took out the lower high, whether it's right here or whether price comes up, puts in a lower high somewhere up here and then comes down to touch the low. Basically, for an ideal short setup, I would not want price to come down and touch this low right here. I think it would make things a lot better if we could just retrace from here, get some kind of confirmation in this zone, and then potentially go on to put in lower lows. So now, like I usually do in my videos, I think this is just good practice. Just running through how market cipher is looking on these significant time frames: the weekly, the daily, the 4 hour, the 1 hour, and then if we really have to, we can go down to some of the lower time frames. But just starting from the top down, let's take a look at market cipher and see how things are developing. So the last time I took a look at the weekly, I believe we had a green dot here. I think we printed a green dot like on this momentum wave right here, but it seems like that has disappeared. The VWAP took another turn to the downside. So we are still potentially seeing this weekly time frame top out. We saw it try and print a green dot here. It was unable to, but the weekly money flow is still putting in higher highs. So, the most interesting thing really with this is the fact that the weekly green dot disappeared, but not many developments besides that. So now going down to the daily time frame, we see that money flow is still coming out on the daily. It's, slow and steady, but it is still coming out. We are putting in lower lows, as we speak, basically. The money flow is at a lower low. And looking at the momentum wave, momentum has come down to around the zero line now. And potentially we are seeing this VWAP start to bottom out. We are seeing some, decent inward curvature develop here with, the angles becoming more sharp towards the upside, which is kind of a sign of strength. That makes me think that, there's a decent chance that maybe we print a daily green dot here. And, that could play into the idea of a lower high being put in. If we start retracing up to this zone, I'd expect that we probably would print a green dot on the daily, and maybe it's a short-lived one. If we end up putting in a higher or a lower high, then this would probably be a short-lived green dot, or I should say a short-lived move to the upside for momentum. We'd confirm the green dot, then probably print a red dot and see momentum come back down if this scenario were to happen. And, aside from that, not much else has happened on the daily. So the 4 hour time frame, we are seeing money flow put in lower lows on the red. It looked like maybe money flow wanted to start curving back to the upside here, but it is kind of chipping off. We're seeing it come back down locally now. Overall, money flow kind of looks like crap on the 4 hour. And, zooming out, we can still see this overall downwards direction that was, taking place since October, basically, since the end of October. We've been seeing 4 hour money flow come out. Now I'd be really interested to see if we go on to put in lower lows on the red, if we kind of continue this downwards direction on the low end of MCB as well as the high end. Now, when you get down to the 2 hour and also the 1 hour, you do start to see money flow potentially bottoming out. It is turning to the upside. Maybe it's forming a nice hump here, and potentially it wants to start moving up towards the zero line. And again, this could play into the idea of a lower high. Maybe money flow actually does end up curving up here, but it just ends up printing a lower high basically in money flow in the green. And yeah, potentially this could cause some people to get more bullish than they should be, which, as we know, if market makers or large players in the market are going to be filling up large short orders for this lower high, then they're probably going to need some people to be longing as they are opening short limit orders. Because, if you have a lot of money, you can't just market into a trade. You need people to be marketing in the opposite direction as you. So, just because money flow starts to curve to the upside here, and, even if things start to look a little bullish, keep in mind that maybe it is meant to look that way to get people to long in this zone for the market makers to fill up their short positions. I'm not saying that's the only possibility. Maybe, market cipher starts to develop bullishly here and we do end up pumping up to the highs. That is also possible, but I am kind of looking at this through the lens right now of my overall bias, which, as long as we don't take out this low, I think there is a decent likelihood that we do put in a lower high somewhere. The 1 hour, we also saw money flow have some nice curvature. It, got a pretty solid move to the downside and then began curving back up towards the green. We got a move above the zero line, but it was short-lived. And we see a bit of a sign of weakness here with the money flow, not really being able to get into the green and then immediately falling back into the red. We'll see how this develops, but, maybe this is a bit of a hint that, the bullishness that we see on the low end might not give us the results that we think it might. So even if money flow starts curving back up again, maybe it's, yet again just another lower high in terms of money flow. And I suppose we can quickly look through some of the lower time frames as well. 30-minute, I guess we are seeing kind of decent curvature on the low end, but again, the money flow is struggling to get above the zero line. We are putting in very weak waves above the zero line. So again, another potential sign of weakness. And the 15-minute time frame just recently got, a decently sized wave in the green, but now it is curving back down. Again, maybe just putting in another lower high. Overall, I am kind of expecting a move to the upside at some point. I think, money flow coming up on a lot of these time frames will probably result in us getting a move to the upside. I think, basically once we get above this high right here, it'd be pretty easy to take out all of this price action. And, the fact that we are kind of seeing market cipher money flow look weak right now could play into our idea of, this just being a move for a lower high. And we'll have to see what market cipher looks like as we get a move up here. But maybe that could change. I think, if we do come down to take out this low at some point, especially if it's just like an SFP, and then market cipher starts developing a little bit more bullishly, maybe we're actually able to get money flow significantly into the green, then things would change. I would feel different about it then. But, right now it seems like things may be playing into my idea of, a short-lived move to the upside before a lower high gets put in. So that's pretty much my analysis right now heading into the trading week. I am right now scalping this little range, so if I see trade setups at the high end or at the low end of the range, maybe around this low or definitely this low, then I'd be interested in scalps. I have been scalping this a little bit. I've also been scalping Ethereum, and I am looking to hold my longs a little bit longer than my shorts right now. Just because I think, a retracement to the upside is due. We have had a very aggressive move to the downside. So I am maybe looking to hold longs up to this area and potentially even higher if we don't end up putting in a lower high. All right, well, that's everything I wanted to go over, I believe. So thank you all for watching the video. If you enjoyed, please consider leaving a like, subscribing, leaving a comment. All that helps to support my channel, and I appreciate it. And I will see you all in the next video.